everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Dude Reviews. Today, we're going to wrap up the Jak and Daxter marathon with two games, Jak 3 and Jak X.
Wait a minute, isn't there still one more Jak and Daxter game?
No, there isn't. Now, shh.
So far, we had the first J&D, which was a pure platformer that was mainly well known for its low time free open world. Jak 2 said balls to that, added in guns, missions, bazookas. It was 2003, man, it was a weird time. And only 1 year after that, Naughty Dog treated us to the final game in the trilogy, Jak 3. And it's the same game.
It really is almost the same exact game, so let's pop it in.
Jak 3 starts off after the eradication of the metalhead leader in Jak 2, with the members of the Underground and Crimson Guard still fighting a war against the surviving metalheads, the KG Deathbots, and their new leader, Errol. Yeah, that Errol, the same guy who offed himself in Jak 2 for losing a race, suddenly became a cyborg and is now the main bad guy. I can't even. Yeah, that motorbug that you took out in Sonic 1, final boss of Sonic Boom 2, make it happen. Maybe this time the game won't suck. Ayo! But it probably will. But then there's also Count Vigor, a co-antagonist who managed to banish Jak and crew to the wasteland, and left him out to die so he himself can become a precursor with no one to stop him. Luckily, they were found by Damus and the citizens of a town called Spargus, of which Damus is the ruler. And from there, Jak works his way to earn their trust and find a way back into Haven City. And really, there's only two citizens worth a damn. There's the top dog car dealer Cleaver, who is pretty entertaining, and then there's Seam, who is a, I don't know, a hippie? When you meet him for the first time, he's doing some weird ritual stuff next to some precursor thing. Silly Seam. I'm the one filled with dark eco here, and I've saved the world already twice so far. Let me handle this. Well, sure is nice the town of Spargus went all out with their Dance Dance Revolution machine. Never mind. Now honestly, when it comes to the gameplay, I can keep this surprisingly brief. You know how Jak 2 introduced an open world mission-based setup to whatever elements were carried over from Jak 1? Well, it really is exactly the same here. Talk to people, do missions of a wide variety, spend like half of the gameplay time driving, it's all here! Except in Jak 2, you were driving in this bustling city in a hover car, which, sure, padded the game's length to like double of the actual gameplay time, but it was still enjoyable. Now you spend your time driving in a barren desert on a four-wheeled vehicle. And it sucks. The desert just has nothing going on aside from being really bumpy and filled to the brim with rocks, making it so painful to just get from point A to point B in peace. And there's also these random homicidal maniacs that you have to deal with, and the game never explains why they're out to get you. They're really just a bunch of jackasses. Ha! There's also a lot more gimmicks this time around too. There's still the running and gunning, of course, and there's even some new upgrades to the returning guns, as well as some brand new light jack powers, which are all great additions, but there's a lot of time spent not doing that. When you're not platforming or gunning, you're either driving, which happens in a lot of missions, or doing something totally random like hang gliding, dogfighting, playing as Daxter some more, manning a turret, or even dealing with a really weird top-down camera thing that I couldn't explain to save my life. Part of me thinks that Jak 3 suffers from a bit of an identity crisis, but I guess the changes happen so frequently that it keeps things interesting, so hey. The story is also a lot weaker, just overall in how it ties into the gameplay. Everything that you did in Jak 2 felt like it served some sort of purpose in affecting something in the war. In Jak 3, your entire time in Spargus is really spent pleasing people to eventually get back into Haven City, where once you're back, you're basically doing the same thing that you were doing in Jak 2. Here's an example. Early on, Cleaver wants to test your skills to see if you're worthy of being a Wastelander. And what is this grand test that he sends you on? Catch a bunch of rats. Damn, Cleaver, you got me. I already saved the world twice, but you found my one true weakness that's gonna stop me from becoming a Wastelander. Whatever the hell these things are. Thanks, man, you got me. Things do sorta get better when you're back in the underground, but they also manage to somehow completely ruin Kira. Twice now she's been a love interest, and now she's been reduced to a few emotionless lines of dialogue in favor of making Ashlyn the star love interest. And that's bad. Aha, see? Brought that back.
And now for a bit of a spoiler warning. In my earlier 2 videos, I went ahead and talked about the entire game, spoiling a 10-plus-year-old game story. And a few of you guys let me know that you'd like a proper warning first, so here you go. If you want to miss out on the last 2 crucial plot points that happened in the last hour of the game, click on this time right here. I'll give you 3, 2, 1.
One of the final missions has Jak team up with Damus for one grand finale in Haven City, to which unfortunately he meets his untimely end. Beginning to notice a bit of a pattern here. And throughout the entire story, Damus keeps talking about how he once had a son that he lost contact with at a young age. You can probably see where I'm going with this, turns out it's Jak. I guess it's supposed to be this really emotional moment, but the story is just such a mess that I really felt nothing here. It's just one more little plot point that we can toss into the Jak and Daxter canon as far as I'm concerned. But then, immediately after, you chase down Count Veigar before he fulfills his wish to become a precursor. And how convenient! Within arm's reach, there are 2 vehicles that lead to the place where you become a precursor. One for Veigar, and one for us! How nice is that? But it doesn't matter anyway. Veigar gets to fulfill his wish regardless. But more importantly, what are the precursors anyway? They've been this big mystery for 3 games now. We get to finally see what they are? Oh man, I'm so excited!
Okay.
I really don't know what to make of this, but this also means that Veigar becomes an Ottsel, so sucks for that guy. But that also means that Daxter has been a precursor this whole time. Well, I'll be. And since he's an almighty being, he finally gets to have his very own pair of pants. It's about damn time. Oh, and then you take down Errol and his huge monster after remembering that he was a thing. Daxter has Tess transformed into an Ottsel, so this romance is now at least 47% less weird. Jak refuses to explore the universe in favor of staying with Daxter, and this ends Jak 3. So I mean, again, Jak 3 is a good game for sure, but it's just so similar to Jak 2 in every aspect, and it does things weaker. Gameplay's not as good, story's not as good, music is still not really worth talking about, very similar to Jak 2. It's still sorta worth playing, but since you'll most likely be playing the other 2 games first, this will merely be a game to satisfy those who want to finish up the trilogy.
Alright, cut! Where's the director? I can't work like this.
But Naughty Dog isn't done yet. While Jak 3 may be the last platformer that they did, right after that they gave us Jak X Combat Racing.
As you all probably know, Insomniac Games was making the Ratchet & Clank series alongside Naughty Dog's Jak and Daxter series, and in those games, one of these series highlights were the battle arenas. So as a 4th game in the series, Insomniac made an arena-based spin-off with Ratchet Deadlocked. Naughty Dog took the same approach with a 4th game being a spin-off, but what did they base it on? Racing. Jak 3's driving drove me crazy, and now we have a whole game based on it? Oh boy. The story this time is based around the gang being invited to Crash City by Crew's daughter? Okay, hold on. Crew had a daughter. This guy, this ton of fun right here, reproduced. Oh god, this should be a sigh. Hi, hello! How in the... And with who? Okay, if I keep questioning things, I think the more disgusting it's gonna get, so let's move on. This miracle's name is Rain, and she's here to present a final message from Crew, after he, you know. During the presentation, however, everyone is tricked into drinking poisonous wine, including Rain. Oops. And the only way to get the potion is to win a combat racing tournament, which, as it soon turns out, is being controlled by the crime boss Mizo. Now, it's gonna sound kinda crazy, but between the premise and all of the cutscenes with proper story development sprinkled between races, I actually think this is a better story than Jak 3, and this is a racing game. They even fixed their mistake and made Kira awesome again, so that easily puts it over. So okay, now I'm going into this pleasantly surprised. Now this isn't Naughty Dog's first foray into the racing genre. They did it years earlier with Crash Team Racing, which was a fantastic Mario Kart clone.
Welcome to the Adventure Arena.
You know, this isn't just a great Mario Kart clone, the lip syncing is also fantastic. This one, on the other hand... No! Yeah, not so much. When they say combat racing, they weren't kidding. This game is fast, frantic, and heavily focused on weapons and blowing your fellow racers up as many times as possible. The controls are a lot more fine-tuned than Jak 3, and while there is the standard racing for first place, there are plenty of other gimmick-styled games too, such as a time trial-esque mode, crashing into as many oncoming cars as possible, arenas, and actually a lot more. It's pretty impressive. The weapon system is pretty unique too, as there's yellow eco that gives you weapons to shoot in front of you, and red eco that gives you weapons to throw behind you, as opposed to them just being multi-purpose. But this is where the game starts to fall apart. Your defensive weapons have no match for many of the offensive ones, meaning that you're going to get hit and blow up multiple times, meaning that your chances of coming in first place is often left to chance. Now I can already hear you, Mario Kart is the same exact way, but that has nothing on the amount of bullshit that I went through in Jak X. While the controls overall feel more fine-tuned than Jak 3, some of the cars just have terrible control. There's a strong emphasis on drifting to grow your boost meter, but you need to perfect this to a T, otherwise you'll be slamming into walls a ton, also causing explosions. And while I believe some of the cars are different, the game doesn't keep track of any stats. Only the stuff that you can upgrade, not a vital statistic like weight. I can't even talk about the end of this game's story because I simply cannot complete the last cut before the final boss. I just bought this PS2 controller, I am not about to toss it out of a window. And really, it's a shame. The game itself can be really fun at times, the story is solid, there's actually some kind of cool music, and it just had a ton of potential, but once I got overwhelmed with crashes that I feel like I couldn't stop, that's when I, pun entirely intended, hit the brakes. This game also never got ported to PS3, unlike the original trilogy, which is kind of odd, seeing as how the original release had online play. So while I can just go ahead and recommend the Jak and Daxter collection, this game you can properly leave in the pit stop. Haha, more puns. Although, Jak X does feature THX sound. You know what that means!
So I guess at this point you can probably see why I tagged Jak X along with Jak 3. It's funny actually, going into this marathon I expected to love Jak 1 and Jak 3, be surprised by Jak X, and hate Jak 2. That has been almost the complete opposite of what has actually happened, so it's been worth playing these games after all, so that's kind of cool. But we're gonna have to wrap up the Jak and Daxter marathon. I want to thank you all for watching, it's been a good run, and yeah, if you enjoyed it, be sure to... No, please, can we please just wrap things up? We can't? Do we have, I said I was gonna, no!
Hey everyone, I want to thank you all for watching and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to toss me a like and also subscribe to keep up to date with new videos. Doing both of those things would be really, really cool. You can follow me on your favorite social network by clicking the link down below. And I'm also going to take this time to give a major thanks to my top Patreon supporters, Alex Downs, Kodiak Polzer, and Gustavo Hernandez. You guys are awesome, thank you so much. From here, you can jump to my last two episodes if you want to, or you can go to a classic Dude reviews on the Crash Bandicoot PS1 trilogy. It's an oldie but a goodie. I guess I gotta go play Lost Frontier now. Well, I've lived a good life up until this point. It's all downhill from here. You all have a good day now.